All right, welcome to our regular rescheduled meeting from the July 10th. We'll start the morning meeting with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will start. First order of business is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting on June 19th.
I make a motion to approve.
Was it the June 19th or June 20th?
Answer was the 20th.
Yeah, it was the 20th. Okay, the
Did the
meet-
minutes say
the minutes are correct. That's the line item on the agenda says the 19th because we moved it to Tuesday. So this would be the regular meeting minutes from the regular meeting on June 20th.
I'll second his motion.
Got a motion by Jerry, a second by Jamie. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have approval of claims. We have one additional claim that was not, but we now looked at.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second that motion.
Got a motion by Jamie, second by Jerry. Approval of minute, or sorry, approval of claims. All in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have Anthony Thomas, superintendent updates.
Okay, we've been mowing roadsides, we've been dirt patching various roads in the county. We hauled chips to replenish our stockpile. We replaced the culvert on East Enterprise Drive in the subdivision. Replaced the culvert pipe on Peach Lane. He's repaired the slip on Wappick. The other area that was falling in the creek, fixed it. We'll probably have it asphalted once we get down. We've chipped and sealed Poplar Ridge, Levi Bliss, Spring Branch, Garland Road, and Gulf Branch Road. Since Monday, we also did the Cersei Ridge and Wade Hill, the 156, Heath Road and March Road and Corpus Grove. That one Saturday cleaned up trees from the storm damage. And off Bridge approach with asphalt has been finished. I finished up on Red Hole Pike and Grand Street with the asphalt also. Have an asphalt bridge for the next meeting crossings.
When did you say you're gonna start fog sealing all
All
of
the way
those
up to next week.
after?
I got one more load of chip and seals. Start. I'm trying to get it done before. It should take so.
We should have two bids for Shiloh Road. Oh, that'd be great. This is for Shiloh.
Give it to you all at once, but it'd be a lot better.
No. I didn't. Do you have a different sheet for each road?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one up for Shiloh Road, we have, who is this? This is Rowe. The amount is 274,980.
Road not even a mile long, is it? Shiloh?
Should say.
1.43.
Over a mile.
143. Okay.
Let's get my binder in, so just
Second one up. For O'Meara, we've got 229, 617, 50 cents. Very on duties all the time, I assume.
Oh,
Yeah,
make a motion to approve Jake O'Mara for, I mean, 229, 617.
Shiloh Road.
What was the comment you made, Ronnie?
We're doing a binder and a surface on Shiloh,
2 and 1?
2 and 1.5,
2 and 1.
2.5, 1.5.
So,
Yeah, sorry.
I'll second the motion to approve
thank you.
O'Mara for resurfacing.
So I've got a motion by Jerry, a second by Jamie to approve O'Meara on the resurfacing for Shiloh Road in the amount of 229, 617, no,
617.
oh, there's a 50 there. Okay. 229, 617, 50. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Two. Okay, the next up, we've got Evans Hill Road. And the bid here from, was it Rowe? Yep, from Rowe. 206,400.
What's this mileage on this?
On this one is 1 mile. Okay. Second bid from O'Meara is 182,522, 50 cents.
Pretty consistent with that 50 cents.
Yes, sir. That track coat per gallon gets
Pop, yeah, they get pop, they get 30,
I would make a motion to approve O'Meara for the Evans Hill Road in the amount of 182,522.50.
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion by myself, second by Jamie to approve Dave O'Meara for the Evans Hill 1 mile project, the amount of $182,522.50. All in favor? Aye.
These are all the same, 2.5 and 1.5.
Years, Matthews might be, 2.5 inches, with the ledge and overlay, but the other three are 2.5.
Okay, so the first one up, we've got Matthews Road. From Row, this is a 0.56 length, 100,400.
This one will have 50 cents also.
Sure does. Yeah. Whole thing is,
All right, so then we've got O'Mara, same 0.56, the bid in the amount of $74,087.57. 50 cents, did I say 57? 50 cents. I did say, I don't know why I did that.
Make a motion to approve Dave O'Mara contracting $74,087.
I'll second that motion. We got a motion by Jerry, a second by myself to approve Dave O'Mara for the Matthews Road, 0.56 miles in the amount of $74,087.50. All in favor? Aye. One more?
Follow
Okay.
1.7, Ronnie, follow.
Go. I think
well,
they,
it's,
that's that over here.
1.7.
0.7. Okay, so this is Harlow Road. All right, so the first bid we have from Rowe for Harlow Road to Bradford Road, 0.7 miles, in the amount of $144,710.
So that's one.
144,710. From O'Mara, same road, Harlow Road, in the amount of $109,375. 0 cents. Lost that. They left it on the table and rounded it up.
I make a motion to approve tomorrow. For Harlow Road, amount of 109,375.
I'll second that motion. I've got a motion by Jamie, second by myself to approve O'Mara for Harlow Road in the amount of $109,375. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Is there a copy in there that needs signed at the end? I assume.
Should be, yeah.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
I do have 2 quotes for this crossing, but I think we need to look at the design on one of them, because one of them is, the design on one is I've said this, and,
They're not apples to apples.
yeah, thank you. So I've had 2 different ones, one's from Joe Parham, one's from Fred Scout.
Okay, so then do you want to just get, do we need to make decisions today, or are you saying?
Don't have to.
You'd like to give us?
I think we need to look at them.
I got a question. If they're two different ones, it's because
They're both without,
we didn't tell them what to quote or?
they're both without culverts. But one design is a lot different. That's why I think we need to, I think you guys need to look at them before we make a decision. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
I mean, you're more welcome after the meeting, to look at them before you know, if there's the next meeting.
Okay, so it's on, we have time to review
We
them.
do- we do
and
have time,
ask for
not
clarification
before you
as
review.
needed. Okay,
If that's okay with you guys. That's fine. That's all I ask.
thanks, Anthony.
Rather than us look at them, does it make more sense just to have each of them quote both options?
I went off, I've blurt this out. Remember all the FEMA quotes? That's kind of where I got my theory from. And I try to be aggressive on this, but you look at your FEMA quotes that I give you, it's very similar. And I try to make it to where it ain't gonna roll a couple. If you look at the quotes.
Right.
So you ask further,
I guess the reason I'm asking is it doesn't make any sense for me to look at two quotes for two totally different things.
I don't,
And if we don't have quotes, it's apples to apples, then it's hard to make a decision, right?
We don't have an engineer.
Right.
That's the problem.
I mean, I would just as soon have whoever the other person was quote the same thing that you quoted and you quote the same thing that he quoted. And then we can make a decision on which design, but we still have apples to apples both ways.
They're both quoted without culverts. The DNR does not want any pipes.
Right.
And I knew that obviously some variance, and,
There is.
but that's what happens when you don't have a good engineering study.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, you're more welcome to, we don't know.
I'm okay with looking at them.
I don't think we can, I get, I can't anyway. If we don't have apples to apples, then it's hard to make a
I really
decision.
don't wanna, we're gonna wait any longer than we need to get moving.
Right, no, I understand that.
I just- you're thinking, well,
We've got another meeting in 10 days,
Yeah, we do have another meeting in 10 days.
roughly.
you want to just give me a copy when it's over? Yeah.
All right.
It's not gonna cause controversy.
No, and whether or not we take your route or we clarify that we agree for whatever reason, then, you know.
We put this cost in and you say,
Either way, if we say, well, we like this design better,
Somebody's gonna have.
somebody's gonna have to requote
Yes.
that design, meaning either he's gonna have to quote the other design or the other person's gonna have to quote his design, whichever.
Yeah, but you're asking for an opinion, and you know how that is. Because if it tumbles down the creek, then you're gonna get,
I'm not asking for opinion, I'm asking us to quote apples to apples, Joe, what, I didn't have to understand that.
Okay, we'll take a look at it and then if we can, whether we do nothing different, we can make the decision and then not do it on the spot. Okay? Old business, I don't believe we have anything.
I don't know of anything off the top of my head.
So for new business, we have Mr. John Canola, planning and zoning.
Okay. Just a little bit on planning and zoning, about the worst building in Beebe, which is an unsafe building. They gave 90 days to rehab or destroy, and it's on North Berry Street, and July 17th, they're supposed to start rehabbing that. So that's some good news in Beebe. Markland Park news for Monday. I made a brief inspection of Markland Park. 5 items were noted. Paul, our superintendent, has 3 busy young people doing good work at the park. July 31st will probably be the last day for 2 boys and 1 girl. Some non-thinking person dropped 250 plastic balls on our basketball court and down our 44 steps going down to the river. They were picked up. I don't know what that was all about. Our new security cameras were affected by weather. I'll work with K&B Systems, our vendor, on Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m. A big thank you to Anthony and the Highway Department for help with down trees at Patriot Park. our budget was almost gone for that, so that was a big help, Anthony. Let's see. Tuesday, July 11th, I met Colton, Drew, and Desiree, our summer youth help, seem to be doing a good job. I also met Josh of H&B Systems. He reports that we need one new camera after a 1:40 a.m. lightning strike, July 1st, about a $600 camera. Most all the rest of the security camera system is fine. So we'll got that ordered and that is coming. So we'll be back online, keep Brian happy. Let's see, inspected Patriot Park, only 2 visitors, 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday, 2 does and 1 fawn. The grass is cut nicely, the trees removed, thanks to Anthony and the highway department. That's it.
Next up, we've got Sarah Bristow with the SIRPC.
Obviously she couldn't make it today,
Yep.
but she left these Monday, and it's just to go over basically what they have done and what they're, because we do donate money, or not necessarily donate, but we give the money to the SIRPC, so. If you have any questions,
So this is their update of what they've been doing.
yes, what they've been doing and what they plan to do.
Do you know how much of the items on the 2023 list have been completed? Or those all
I
in
can't
progress?
answer that, you know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if Jerry may have if he's on the board as well. At the council meeting, she basically just handed this out and anybody had any questions. Kind of things.
Okay. All right, next up, we've got Leanne with the credit card ordinance, internal control ordinances.
All right, if we could start with Affordable Care Act, Section 1557. Everyone should have something from Meds in there. If not, I have,
What's it look like? The
Right
med
there.
should say
Yeah.
med on it.
yes, I have worked with MedBen. I spoke with Greg Goodnight from Gardner, even though they're P&L and don't have anything to do with health plans, just reaching out for advice. I spoke with our attorney and the compliance officer from MedBen. Basically, in order to remain compliant with Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act, despite any litigation that's ongoing surrounding this section, unless we make changes or modifications to our health care plan, and I have them here at this time, we are at risk of losing federal grant monies. The compliance officer I spoke with at MedBen did let me know that non-compliant plan audits have already began. So it's in our best interest to, I put it off as long as I could to get all the advice from the different entities. And basically, if we do nothing to change our plan, we're non-compliant. If we modify the plan to, and we take an all or nothing. If we don't, if we modify the plan to exclude all medicines and all surgeries surrounding gender dysphoria, we must also modify the plan to exclude any condition requiring hormones, whatever. We just can't discriminate. We either have to allow all or allow nothing to be compliant.
Okay, so you're looking, it's
It's right here.
one, this one right here. Yeah.
Okay, yes.
The one you got.
Yeah, so it's for us to make a decision,
Yeah,
yay,
whether,
yay or nay for all,
or nothing.
because
Yes.
right now our plan is like a 50-50.
It's non-compliant. We don't provide for gender dysphoria services. And we don't have any carve-out options either. We can't say, okay, we'll do therapy, but we won't do surgery. It's really all or nothing. If we exclude everything, we're going to take healthcare away from our employees who actually need these services.
What's the financial impact? If we
Our
have,
fund is financial or federal money that we receive.
no, how does it impact the policy? The cost of the policy?
It doesn't impact the cost of the policy.
can't imagine we can add additional
It would be.
options to the
something
policy and
compliant
not
with
impact
the
the
Affordable
cost of
Care
that
Act.
policy.
I guess when the people go to the doctor, if and when that ever arose, the cost for their care would go up.
You're, I guess maybe not.
Med Ben gonna charge us more for our house.
They did not state that they were going to charge us more for our policy,
Wouldn't
no. They
Yeah,
are also
did they ask?
coming in on July 27th to go over and rates and start looking forwards to next year. This is a compliance document versus a policy change document. So
Well, it would be a policy change if you're adding options or coverage to that policy.
Correct.
Can we wait and have them sign after the 27th?
Yes,
After we talk to them and make
Yes.
sure that there's no price increase?
yes.
Yeah, I think if we're changing the benefits that are provided, either adding or taking away, that would impact the cost of the policy.
Okay, and I,
And to know what that ramification is, because we have an option to go either one,
we do,
correct?
we do.
What I'm understanding you to say is, sounds to me like we need to agree to add these to be compliant. So there is probably going to be some cost association.
But I guess I understood it differently, that it's not that we have to add it, we have to,
We have to be one way or the other.
We have to be
Provide it
one
for
way or
everyone?
the other.
or provide it to no one.
Yes,
And that is for,
because discrimination in healthcare on the
Yeah.
basis of, right,
and so,
I guess.
I mean, obviously, we're not the health experts. I guess my first question is, how is MedBen providing this policy half if it's not a compliant?
they let us know that we weren't compliant.
They were the ones that let us know we were not compliant.
Yes, and this document came from them and they've asked that we, have you signed this yet? Have you signed this? Have you
Okay.
looked at this yet? And I just wanted all advisement from everyone. Do we have to sign it? There's a lot of litigation around the ACA 1557 right now, but despite the litigation, the federal audits have started on the healthcare plans.
Okay. So then if we wait, you said we can get some answers from them and either potentially before our next meeting or
I'll have them by end of day today, yes.
then we can, table a decision until.
And I apologize for that. I was looking at cost us fines and maybe losing money versus the cost of inflated healthcare.
I mean, they're both important.
Right,
Or the potential cost savings.
exactly.
I'd like to know both options. So then we'll table it until the July 24th meeting.
I'd be glad you said 27.
We're meeting with them on the 27th, but if she
But
can
we're just-
email them and they can give us some
Give us the cost,
clarification.
yeah, that the meeting is for, starting to review costing for next year. Okay. That's there. Okay. What do you have next, Ann?
I actually had the Moorfield Bennington Sewer District. You have that ordinance established. Banning
Yep.
water softener discharge into the Moorfield Bennington Sewer District.
Just to give everyone a little bit of background. You're aware that we're putting in a new sewer treatment system in Bennington currently. The state Department of Health approved that system, but one of the stipulations behind being able to use that system or get that approval was that we had to adopt an ordinance banning discharge, water softener discharge into that system. So that's the purpose of having this ordinance.
Do you have any questions before I start the reading? No.
Did you update this so that it says that there's no water softeners? Because does it say that or not?
They can have
I mean-
water softener, it just can't discharge and
When it does it like recharge. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember what,
Get the water softener and backwash.
so. Do we need to read this if we're not changing it?
Well, it's a new
It's completely new. We're not changing historically.
Mine stated 9/2.
Oh,
Which one are you looking at?
The old one. I didn't know that was a brand spanking new one, sorry. Probably in one of my copies. Okay, there, sorry, that was my confusion. Go ahead,
Okay.
sorry.
Perfect. All right, so first up, we've got an ordinance banning water softener discharge into the Moorfield Bennington Sewer District. Ordinance number 07.10.2023-01. Commissioner's Record Book number 11. Background, 410 IAC 6-8.3-52A and 410 IAC 6-10.1.1-49A, derived from Indiana's water pollution control laws, which date back to 1943. In essence, these laws prohibit the discharge of any waters which contain contaminants to the waters of the state without specific written approval by the Water Pollution Control Board. Therefore, the department, through its rules and the interpretation of its rules as well as water pollution control laws, cannot advocate the indiscriminate discharge of water softener backlash in a manner which may cause pollution to the waters of the state. Ordinance. In order to align with the aforementioned requirements, the commissioners of Susquehanna County hereby establish, ordain, and adopt ordinance number 07.10.2023-01, advising that any water softener installed and in use in any capacity shall not discharge into the Moorfield Bennington Sewer District system by any persons.
make a motion to approve ordinance number 07.10.2023-01.
I'll second that motion.
I've got a motion by Jamie, a second by Jerry to approve ordinance number 07.10.2023-1, the ordinance banning water softener discharge into the Moorfield Bennington Sewer District. All in favor? Aye. Said ordinance passed with a unanimous vote. That will be a first and final reading. Okay, Leanne, what's next?
Next up, we have the ordinance establishing the internal control standard and the materiality threshold for the Switzerland County government. This, was basically the State Board of Accounts came in, the county's been written up every year since 2018 for not having the internal controls. And this is the ordinance getting us compliant that basically says if any materiality is mishandled, that can be money, goods, services, any error, $500 or more, we need to self-report. The council, reviewed it and approved for it to come before the commissioners on,
Yeah, that was my first question. Because it really covers their oversight on a financial
Yes.
side, correct?
yes, they approved it on June 14th.
Okay. Looks like 4 pages to read. Is that anything on there? All right. Here we
It's all
go.
encompassing.
We've got an ordinance establishing the internal management process for Switzerland County credit card usage, possession, and record keeping. The drum.
We're doing internal threshold right now.
Oh, cool. I don't know if I have that one.
You have to.
Take mine. Okay. equal length. Back and enjoy. All right, we've got an ordinance establishing the internal control standard and the materiality threshold for the Switzerland County government. Ordinance number 06122023-1, Commissioner's Record Book number 11. Whereas Indiana Code S 5-11-1-27 requires all Indiana political subdivisions to adopt minimum levels of internal control standards developed by the State Board of Accounts as published in the Uniform Internal Control Standards for Indiana political subdivisions prior to June 30th, 2016. Whereas this system of internal control standards is intended to promote government accountability and transparency at all political subdivisions under Indiana Code 5-1-1-10.5.1. Whereas Indiana Code S 5-11-1-27G requires the legislative body of each political subdivision must ensure that personnel receive training concerning the internal control standards and procedures adopted by the political subdivision. Whereas in Indiana Code 5-11-1-27J requires erroneous or irregular material variances, losses, shortages, or thefts of political subdivision of funds or property shall be reported immediately to the State Board of Accounts. And whereas the State Examiner Directive 2015-6 directs all political subdivisions to determine its own policy on materiality. Now it be ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Switzerland, Indiana, Section 1. The acceptable minimum level of internal control standards and procedures developed under Indiana Code S 5-11-1-27E by the State Board of Accounts contained in the Uniform Internal Control Standards for Indiana Political Subdivisions Manual are hereby adopted by the Switzerland County, and that county personnel receive training concerning the internal control standards and procedures hereby adopted. Section 2. Switzerland County establishes the following materiality policy under Indiana Code SS 5-11-1-10, 5-11-1-21, and 5-11-1-27. Materiality in Switzerland County government is defined as $500 per occurrence. That is, if one occurrence of a loss, shortage, or other irregularity is equal to or greater than $500, it must be reported to the State Board of Accounts. The materiality definition is not limited to defalcations or suspicious activity involving only cash or cash transactions. If supplies, equipment, or other fixed assets belonging to the county are suspected of being misappropriated, stolen, or used in a manner not authorized by Switzerland County officials, and the value of those supplies, equipment, or fixed assets are approximately $500, that misuse or series of misuse should be reported. That is not to say that if a loss or shortage is less than $500, it should be ignored. If there is a series of events within the same office or department that appears to be structuring event to defraud or misappropriate county funds or property, that event or series of events should be reported. Section 3. All erroneous or irregular material variances, losses, shortages, or thefts of political subdivision funds or property shall be reported immediately to the State Board of Accounts. For all material variances, losses, shortage, or thefts, the State Board of Accounts shall 1. Determine the amount of involved and report the amount to the appropriate government and law enforcement officials. 2. Determine the internal control weakness that contributed to or caused the condition. And 3. Make written recommendations to the appropriate legislative body or appropriate official overseeing the internal control system addressing the method of correcting the condition, and B, the necessary internal control policies and internal control procedures that must be modified to prevent a reoccurrence of the condition. Section 4. Pursuant to Indiana Code 5-11-1-27-1, if any Switzerland County employee knows or suspects that other county employees are engaged in fiscal misconduct, It is their responsibility to immediately notify their supervisor or the Board of Commissioners, or if the supervisor or a commissioner is involved in the misconduct, then the employee shall notify the county attorney. If the employee has concerns about informing the county attorney, then the county auditor and the prosecuting attorney are to be contacted. Section 5. The internal control standards and materiality threshold for the Switzerland County government regarding the establishment of a policy on materiality and the process for reporting material items, which was reviewed and approved by the Switzerland County Board of Commissioners on July 10th, 2023, and the Switzerland County Council on June 14th, 2023, is hereby adopted. Section 3. All prior ordinances or parts thereof inconsistent with any provision of this ordinance are hereby repealed for the time period specified. Lastly, Section 7, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage and publication, all as by law provided. That is the first reading.
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance establishing an internal control standard and materiality threshold for Switzerland County government. Ordinance number 06.12.2023-01.
Second that motion. I've got a motion by Jamie, second by Jerry, to approve the ordinance establishing the internal control standard, ordinance number 06.12.2023-01. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Said motion passes with unanimous vote. That will be a first and final reading.
So I've got a quick question. We've had a number of discrepancies. I'll put,
Mhm.
I won't say number, 2 or 3 discrepancies in the last month or two. Did you report any of those?
No, I mean, they weren't a loss. We recovered those.
I know, but it doesn't matter according to this. If there is a discrepancy greater than $500, then we're supposed to self-report.
It's,
to the
I'm
state
not,
board of
my understanding when I was reading it is if it's a loss or, they're just kind of kicking out. It doesn't matter. No, I didn't. I'm not-
Well, we also didn't have.
We didn't have the
Yeah,
internal.
Well, we didn't have
control,
to have
so-
it's Indiana code.
correct,
It's already a state law.
correct. Okay, Leanne?
If we could jump back over to 1557 very quickly. I do have a response from MedBen, and I was correct. They do not charge to amend the plan. We would pay for the charges members occur from the
Service.
cover services.
Okay. It's part of our like self-insurance.
Exactly,
So
exactly,
if it's a benefit that people use, it will cost the county.
absolutely.
We've got a copy of the.
You can have this copy, Grant.
The other copy.
Oh, we're going back. Yeah, it is. I never got anything on that, so.
Oh.
So are there 2 sections, Leanne?
One was the informational section that's stapled, I printed out. The other one was just what we're gonna do. We're gonna
So there's
modify.
like a do not change, modify to allow, and modify to exclude.
There are 2 sections.
And then there's the same here.
Yes, sir.
Do I see this? Do you,
I just re-emailed it.
would you like to make a decision? Would you both like to make a decision today? Or would you like to table for discussion?
I'm okay with the decision based on any possible discussion. postage stamp.
Where was
This.
Yeah, that was the one. So this is what it does include. And this is what it does not include. Exclude.
So Leanne, this sheet here, like what's being included, we're making a
Yes.
decision on
Yes.
section 1. Okay. And then do we need to make a motion? Is it, we have 2 sections, we need to make a motion separately? Or, do
That's really up to you.
okay,
I wasn't, they asked for a signature. I was not going to sign that. It was going to come to the commissioners.
I can make a motion, but also, discussion, because I'm not making a motion, I'd like to go right here, but lots of ones. Here. It's up to you guys. Then to start discussion and motion.
I think, I mean, this is a kind of a difficult, I don't want to say difficult, touchy subject, really.
It is.
Go ahead, Ken. You know, I think it's important for people to understand what we're talking about. So, one of the things on this sheet says recommended plan language, gender dysphoria covered expenses include charges for non-cosmetic treatment of gender dysphoria, including office visits, psychotherapy, including individual and group counseling, cross-sex hormone therapy, laboratory and diagnostic testing services, and surgery for the treatment of gender dysphoria, including but not limited to male to female gender reassignment, such as, well, I can't pronounce half the names on here, but, and female to male gender reassignment surgeries. So it's not something that, for me, is easy to take lightly and just make a decision on today, personally. I think I need to give it more thought, and I'd really like to have more guidance from either legal counsel or probably legal counsel if we just do nothing. I know you're telling me if we do nothing that potentially we could lose some government funding, ARPA, et cetera. But I guess I'd like to hear that from legal counsel.
To be clear, the doing nothing means our plan currently covers this for.
Our plan is currently non-compliant. We,
But as I'm understanding what little bit of it that I read along with what Jamie's saying on pros and cons on what he's saying, it's if we include or disclude that, if we disclude it then, or do nothing, choose to do nothing, then we're also,
non-compliant.
yeah, well, but we're also could be taking away procedures that standard.
That would normally be covered, has not related to gender dysphoria.
We would be taking away normal coverage.
I don't understand how we'd be taking away normal coverage if we do nothing. It's got to be already included in our plan, so if we do nothing, we're not taking anything away.
If we vote to cover nothing, then we take it away. If we vote to cover everything, then we cover everything. If we do nothing, we're non-compliant.
But there's also one that says do not change the plan.
Exactly.
So that
If we
means
don't change the
We're
plan, we're
non-compliant,
non-compliant.
and that's where my question comes in, and where I would like to have legal counsel give me an opinion. What is the real risk of doing nothing relative to losing potential government funding? Because that's what my understanding is the risk if we do nothing is we could potentially lose ARPA funding, other federal funding.
Yes, sir. And face fines for being non-compliant with the Affordable Care Act. I'll loop Pat back into an email discussion on
Is there an email that I missed that he's already answered this?
that. I think
If there is, say so, I don't.
I
Like I
really
said,
do
Rick,
think
should we-
we had a discussion and he recommended that we go talk to compliance, and he did say there was a lot of litigation surrounding the Affordable Care Act, which prompted me to go talk to MedBen's or have a conference call with several different officers from MedBen just last week, who basically explained what us taking inaction on this was.
And what was that?
The audits, the fines, the loss of federal grants, federal funding. So, but we've waited this long, and I think that for everybody to be comfortable, because I want to understand with everybody and collaborate to make sure everyone's completely comfortable, especially the taxpayers that are watching. Let's have some more discussion.
I mean, if you look at what this does cover, let's say we have employees that chose to utilize some of these services, that's a huge expense to the county.
It really is.
And I'm just not comfortable with saying, yeah, let's do it.
It really is. Yeah.
I can't see,
And I would like clarification on what Jamie's saying, yes, that side of it is huge. Then on the other side, if we close it out and do nothing, then are we taking away normal? Does that mean that normal things that would fall under those subjects, like, hey, I'm just gonna say it, pap smears for women, et cetera, those things get discluded?
Or
changed?
estrogen for someone going through menopause. I'll just
Actual-
throw that out there. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Those things, so if we're kind of a little bit of a damned if we do, damned if we don't.
We are.
I'd like
And I feel that we're
clarification
backed
on
into a corner on it.
I'd like clarification on the health issues on it. because,
What specifically is there?
'cause I don't want to take anything that would normally be things that would normally help gentlemen or women and those kind of health issues.
Right.
But I agree with Jamie going with some of the other things that it would include, the gender change and et cetera, could be huge and costly. So can we approve part of it and be compliant, or can we,
We don't have a carve out option. I wanted the carve out option, but we don't have it.
But I think that some of that is then validating what specifically is and is not included, because I guess I'm reading this, but this is very specific to gender dysphoria. And so some of those other topics or other health issues would be covered under our standard plan. So I think that this piece is a very subset carve out in my interpretation of it. But if we get that validated, that right now, I think that validated that we're not taking away health benefits that we're currently providing.
maybe it would be a good idea for, since MedVin's the one that pointed out we're in violation, someone from MedVin could show up and give a more detailed explanation.
Okay.
I mean, that's a thought. I don't know, Grant, Jerry.
yeah, I wouldn't be. I would think that would be good too, because, they have to stand on what they say.
And it might be a good idea for us to ask Pat to attend that commissioner meeting whenever they're gonna be here.
So it's still tabled. 24th.
I would say so.
I think it's not necessarily tabled, it's tabled for us to get legal essentially, and that then potentially would make the next meeting, but that's dependent on what info we get.
So we get
Correct.
on the 27th, is MedBen actually coming here, or is it all virtual? I can't remember.
I think I've sent, Pinnacle will be coming with Ben. I've sent out calendar invites and I've
Yeah,
sent out
yeah.
documentation.
So they will be here.
Yes.
Maybe they could come on the 24th. and Stay for the meeting. Move it up a couple of days, I don't know.
I can see.
Okay. All right. Next up,
Next one was the ordinance establishing internal management for basically credit card usage, possession, and record keeping.
back to the library.
Back to the library, I attached the credit card log that's according to the State Board of Accounts we're supposed to have. And as Appendix B, you will see the State Board of Accounts actual credit card checklist, this thick boxes.
Yeah, and I think this spurred from some of our questions about the claims, credit cards, who has cards, what the stuff's being used for, and that proper receipts and documentations are being captured, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
We don't even have one of these. There was never a credit card ordinance in place, was there? This is
No.
the first one.
Yes.
We're doing good work.
All right. Here we go. An ordinance establishing the internal management process for Switzerland County credit card usage, possession, and record keeping. Ordinance number 0712-2023, Commissioner's Record Book number 11. The Board of Commissioners of Switzerland County, Indiana, the Commissioners, does hereby ordain and adopt the following policy governing all use of credit cards or similar credit transactions for services and/or products by persons conducting business on behalf of Switzerland County government or any of its various offices, dependents, boards, or subunits according to the following terms and conditions. 1. Authorization for use of credit cards. The Board of Commissioners of Switzerland County, Indiana, or its designee, possess sole authority over the issuance of county credit cards or any similar line of credit or credit transaction product. Designation of credit card issuer. The Commissioner shall designate a bank or credit card company as the sole issuer of credit cards to all Switzerland County departments, boards, and offices. Purchasing agents as applicant. The purchasing agent may apply to the Commissioners for issuance of a credit card in the name of the department or office and shall pay the annual fee for its issuance, if any. 4. Accounting system. The purchasing agent shall maintain the record log, appendix attached, which shall include the name of the purchasing agent, their position, estimated amounts to be charged, reason for the charge, fund and account numbers to be charged, and the date the card was issued and returned. Attached as Appendix A. 5. Use, custody, submission of claims, interest, and late fees. The Auditor's Office will maintain physical possession of all county credit cards unless a written order or directive from the Commissioners provides otherwise. Cards will be signed out only as needed and will promptly signed back after the purpose for which it was signed out has been accomplished, accompanied by documentation required by this policy as interpreted and implemented by the auditor. Pursuant to the Indiana Code, each payment must be fully itemized and each invoice or bill certified by the county auditor. The pre-approved or prepaid claim must be advertised and approved at the next scheduled meeting of the County Board of Commissioners. Submission of claims to the auditor shall include the invoice and all supporting documents such as conference information, mileage report, validation of conference registration, the credit card transaction receipt, purchase receipt, and other documentation consistent with the policies of the auditor's office. C. Any interest, penalty, or fee incurred due to late filing of the claim or furnishing of documentation as required by the auditor, or failure to ensure tax exempt status on any purchase shall be the responsibility of the purchasing agent. 6. Charge limit. The Commissioners may set a monthly charge limit for each card issued under Section 3 above. 7. Permitted uses. But issued under Section 3 above. 7. Okay. A. For a good cause shown, the Commissioners may allow exceptions or expansions of credit card use on a case-by-case basis. Prohibited uses. A county credit card shall not be used for any of the following purchases or transactions. Any purchase for which there is not an existing or sufficient appropriation at the time of use. Any cash advance. Any personal or non-business purchases, including meals, may be reimbursable. Any alcoholic beverage, fuel, maintenance, or repairs for non-county owned vehicles, except rental cars. Discontinued use, when the purpose for which the card has been issued has been accomplished, or if the use of the card has been discontinued, the card shall be promptly returned to the custody of the auditor. 8. Loss, theft, or data breach. Any person in possession of a county card that shall conclude that the card has been lost or subject to a data breach or hacked shall promptly report the incident to the auditor, and the card shall be immediately frozen or terminated. Misuse of card. Number 9. The auditor shall report any misuse of a credit card promptly to the commissioners. The commissioners may revoke credit card privileges of any purchasing agent or other employee of agent of the county for violation of the terms of this policy. In addition, serious violation may support disciplinary action, including termination. This ordinance is not inconsistent with IC 5-22-1-1 ET-SEQ period. This ordinance is in alignment with the Indiana State Board of Accounts documents concerning the 5 internal control components regarding credit card purchases, attached as Appendix B. This ordinance repeals ordinance number 34-05 dated December 29, 2008, and any and all ordinances and resolutions or parts of ordinances and resolution of the Board of Commissioners in conflict with this ordinance are not preserved hereby be and the same are hereby repealed.
So we did previously have an ordinance 34.05.
From
2008.
2008, correct.
I'd make a motion to approve an ordinance establishing an internal management process for Citrus County credit card usage, ordinance number 07.12.2023. Second that motion.
I've got a motion by Jamie, a second by Jerry to approve credit card usage, possession, and record keeping ordinance 07.12.2023. All in favor? Aye. That ordinance passes with unanimous vote. That will be the first and final reading of ordinance. Okay. Leanne, what's next?
That's all I have.
Okay. Next order of business, we had Tim Nowak. However, he is not here today, obviously. I met with him and Emily. I believe you two will both need to schedule some time with them, and then we'll do a debrief on that. He did not. I printed one out at the time of the meeting. If you need a printed copy, Leanne has that now. Okay. Jamie, do you have any board reports?
No, unfortunately, we did have a board meeting, but I did not make that meeting.
I've not had any, my boards have not met. Okay, announcements? Sir?
Really the only announcement I guess I'd make is courthouse status update. Basically, all of the work is done. We had to cut up part of the floor. Let me restate that. All the work is not done. We had to cut up part of the floor in order to run the wiring and stuff for the audio video system. We're waiting for the contractor that's installing the audio video system to come in, confirm that all the wiring is correct. Then we can put the floor back down, finish the carpet, and basically then the courthouse will be finished. So as soon as we get them in, and I don't have a firm date yet on when they'll be in, there's about, I'm gonna say 3 days of work left after that, and it will be finished up.
Will that need a cleaning after the work's finished? Should we consider
Most everything has been cleaned up. I mean, there's a little bit up toward the judges section. That obviously where they cut the floor up, that will need clean, but, I would tell you 75% of the courthouse has, cleaned.
Okay.
That's all.
Leanne or Gil, any other?
I have something here. I emailed you guys, probably about 11:30. I got an email from the lady that handles the insurance Medicare claims with the ambulance billing. And she said that the three of you are not on the certificate, and you should be, to make sure none of you had created any fraud against Medicare. So I need you to fill this out, or you can look at the email before you fill this out. And I do have to have your social and all that good stuff. So
Was that something that was done by,
I filled it out earlier this year when I came into office, and then now she realizes that we don't have your all's information. Emily and I have to sign one, but I need your signatures
You should have me as billing services.
as well. She, like, all of our claims through Medicare.
Right.
okay,
And that's for both SCER and the health department, or just,
My understanding it is for both. That could be, it's kind of vague,
I would assume it is, but.
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Carla, do you have anything else for us?
No.
All right, great. Right, with that, I'll, anything else? No, it's all right.
Make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, motion by Jerry, second by Jamie to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.